and welcome back. Well, as you can see, things are in considerable disarray because I just had one of those awful weeks where, I don't know, 3 days of work out here and we've actually made about an hour's progress. This is on Jensen's bike. We were going along great, came to the engine and everything you could think of went wrong with it. I've found stuff on the couple of engines I have that we put together for him that I have never seen before. I'll show you a couple of them. Alright, because everything's gone all haywire this week, today's Friday. I'm going to stay out a little late so I can film something for you. Probably film a bit of stuff tomorrow on Saturday, but what I can get done is, I'm afraid, all we're going to have this week. So I'll show you what we're going to do. New subscribers coming along apace. I don't know, what is it? I've even lost track of what it is. And lots of comments. A couple of bit, shall we say, pedantic, to be generous. I was going to say all sorts and I thought, oh sorry, what the hell, I'm an old fella, it shouldn't really bother me. So, even Spot's hiding in a corner. I'm going to show you a couple of things to do with these BSAs, just out of interest, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do on the bike, and we'll see what we can get done in a few hours that I've got available. So let's get going. Don't worry, I haven't gone blind, I'm just covering something over. I was using a TR25W engine for Jensen's bike, which is sort of the first one after the C15. When the Starfire came out, which was like the C25, Triumph wanted the 250 single, so they made the C25 into the TR25W, and then the next iteration was the B25 and the T25. So anyway, started building it. Oh, I was missing bits and all that sort of stuff, and then I found an engine I didn't realise I had. I had a C25 engine, and wasn't in the best condition, but I was missing a thing like a push rod and stuff like that. So we started to take it to bits, and this fell out. Whoops, just fell out again. Can you see that? See the broken end of it? And I had no idea what it was. So when I got the camshaft and everything out, I looked. I don't know if any of you realised what it was, but it's the cam follower. It's one of them. Look at that. Completely broken off. Score marks on the back, and this is actually stuck solid in there. So I have no idea what happened to that. And the reason I was taking this off was because, I think I'll have to pull you back a little. For those of you who've worked on these, normally the timing marks of the valve on here, like it is there, it'll mark the valley, and on the other wheel there'll be a mark on one of the teeth. Well, when we took the other engine apart, there were two marks and they were both on the teeth, so you could actually set it one side or the other of the mark. So we found out which way we wanted to be with this and everything was right. But this thing up here just amazed me. So that's probably the only two things I wanted to mention: the strange marks on the timing gears, and that just and I tell you what, the nut on the crankshaft on the other side, which is a nut like that, just would not come off. I mean, it just would not come off. So in the end, I drilled into it and split it, and it wouldn't come off. So I turned it 180 degrees and I drilled into it and I split it, and it was just held on by this. Even with the impact wrench, finally it came off, and when it came out, it just fell into two pieces. But I fought that for ages. So as I say, it's been one of those weeks. Alright, let's go and have a look at the YamBSAki. Alright, I had a couple of comments on this, and it was something I mentioned when I very first put it on. I was a bit dubious about the longevity of this rubber if that kept vibrating like that. I don't think it's going to, all that sort of stuff, but I thought, what I need is something to just hold it so it doesn't vibrate. So my first thought was to make a little bracket that went to the frame just to hold it. And I thought, no, that's no good, because if the engine's vibrating, the frame won't be, so it'll still be moving. What it needs is to be fastened to the engine so that there's no vibration, because when the engine shakes, that's going to shake at exactly the same frequency, so it'll be as if it isn't moved. So what I came up with was this. I was just playing around to make it clever holes. So what we're going to do is we're going to weld that on there, and then put a couple of little clips across there. Maybe a long bolt to another little piece here, or maybe just a folded piece of aluminium strip, 2 of them. So let me take this off and I'll show you what we're going to do with this. So what we're going to do, as I say, is we're going to weld that onto there, and this you'll see is shaped to match that. So that'll go on like that, and then we'll just have somewhere clamping this. I'm thinking maybe a sort of strip that bends down, goes along, bends down behind the back, and then just a little bolt in here, bolt it onto there, bolt it on there. Because as I say, we're not actually supporting this. All we're doing is this wider part, because the thing's offset, we just want to hold it. We just want to stop it from vibrating. So it's not going to be some big structural thing. So, put myself a little bit of aluminium. Gone mad on these holes. I was going to, as you saw from that, I was going to drill holes there, and I thought, oh, what the hell. So I'm going to drill a little hole there and a little hole there and put a bend in it. So let me do that. Right, I'll polish it up a bit because it's easier to polish it before I put it on. So that's going to go on there like that. See, we've got our holes drilled, and we're going to put these nice little 3/16 type ones in there. Okay, so let me at least get a tack weld on here, and I'll show you, and then we'll weld that up. I'm going to weld this up in here. I'm going to use a thick rod. We're going to fill it up, and then I'll probably grind that out to make it all look nice when it's finished. So let me get welding. Right, while that alloy welding's cooling, I'll show you these that just arrived. These are my RockShox from Gary Fleckney in the UK. Really nice, beautifully made. So that's fine, but I have a slight problem. Let me take you around the other side. As I say, slight problem. Nothing fast. If you're wondering what this bit of blue is, it's a little cable tie to hold the chain on. I do have a gap, but it's not much. So let me zoom you out. What I'm going to have to do is move these top and bottom out slightly. I'm hoping I can just make an adjustment to them. If not, I'll cut the outer parts off and weld new ones on. Okay. Also, one other thing I noticed. Now you can't really see it very well. What I'm trying to show you is that this exhaust pipe swings out a little bit. When I was putting this piece on, which has a bend in it, I must have just had it outwards a little bit. So instead of just following the case line, it comes out slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it through that joint and just swivel that inwards a little bit, to make a slight adjustment at the end, I think, but I've got to get that in. I noticed it was very close to where your foot was going to be here, but it wasn't on the other side, and as I said, that's what it is. This bend here, instead of having it like that, when I've tacked it, I've had it just slightly like that so it bores out. So that should be easy enough to remedy, and if the worst comes to worst, I have this long tube. I can always put it back in the pipe bender and just, you know, if it goes in too far, I can put a bend in it and bring it back straight, get it all leveled up. But things that will have to be done. Right, let's go and see if that aluminium's cooled. Right, so there it is. Give it a little bit of polish, clean that up a little bit. I've got to do the ends, yep. And what I'm going to use are 2 of those that will go on there like that. So let me put it together. Probably have to pull you out, won't I? Yes. I'm getting hungry as well. This is taking me longer than I thought it would. So that's going to go in there like this. Let me screwdriver go. Just fell on the ground, look. You'll probably guess what the next thing I'm doing is by what I'm resting this on. Okay, so that goes on there like that. Then these, come on, go on there. Don't tell me I've made a bad one. Hang on, let's have a look at the other one. I know the other one fit. Must be because I'm getting hungry. At least these only take a fraction of a minute to make. Go through the hole. Hold on a second while I get a little what's it for that. Right, might have to mod this a little bit. Thought these would be a bit stiffer than they are. But let's see what it's like when they're screwed down. See, Age, you're not the only one who has problems with your hand getting in the way. Hang on, let me get a spanner for that. Alright. Maybe a little bit more of a bend in them or something to have them coming downwards. As I say, it's not to hold the thing on, it's just to stop it vibrating. Oh no, it's alright. See, that can't vibrate. What did I do wrong with the other one? Let's have a look. I've made the hole a little bit too high. Look. Well, we'll see. Let's try with this one, although I think I have here. Definitely, or not made the hole too high, but put the bend in the wrong place. A little bit of bend in that, and that one should be alright as well. So let's put them on the bike. And there it is. Very good. A little bit of manipulation, maybe a little bit more, and that'll be fine. Okay, that's enough for today. Alright, it's Saturday afternoon, so let's see what we can get finished. I had a quick little finagle with the suspension unit mounting, so now I can get that's a 1/4 inch. That's plenty of space. Alright, so let's get on with the saddle. Now you saw the saddle sitting on the bike earlier, because what I'd done was I used the base, not the base, the top, to cut out a cardboard template, and then I used that just to cut some foam from out of an old saddle. Now the only problem here is it's the type of foam with the holes in, so along the edge it's got holes, and when you pull it tight they show. But I think what I'll be able to do is put some, I have some about 1/4 inch foam sheets. I think if I put some of that round, this will pull up nicely. So we could try, if not, it's just a question of buying another piece of foam. So as I say, I got that cardboard template cut out. So the next thing is, I've marked it out on a piece of 1/8 inch alloy sheet. There it is. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to cut a strip of 1/16, about, I don't know, maybe only 1/2 inch. I've got to check. And then that'll be welded on all the way around to form a lip, because saddle back, the way this goes on, you see it has this nice cover, that will stretch over the lip, and then the little clips will go on, and that will hold that, and then you won't see it because of that. So I'm going to do that, put my little lip around. What we've also got to do, of course, is make up a couple of angled mountings to go onto the rear suspension units, and something at the front for it to lock under the frame. Now what I'm also going to do, I've got to order them yet, but I'm ordering them for YamBSAki, so they'll only take a day to come, is I'm going to put some screw-on rubber buffers for it to sit on the frame, because they'll only stick through a little bit, and as you saw, we've got a nice thick layer of foam. I screw them on and they'll sit on. Now this also is going to be bent slightly. It has a little bit like that, so if I do it like that but I make the foam level, then the sides should pull down evenly. So we've got a bit of manipulating to do with the foam, but first of all I want to cut this out. Now I've cut it out. What I'm going to do next is measure this actually, and just before I cut it I'm going to put a line down the centre. I'm going to cut this and make sure the two halves are exactly the same. If they're not, I'll trim them so it's a nice equal shape, and then I'll put a bit of tape on and I'll mark that out again. Now I cut this out down the centre and put it onto the seat cover, and I found one half followed the contours more exactly. So what I've done is, it was this half, I've drawn a centre line and duplicated it on that side. So now I'm going to go and cut this. I won't show you that because it's very noisy. So I've cut the piece of plate out and I put the tank on its tank mounting. So that's where it should be. So we're going to put the seat there, so you can see here the big gap. We don't want that. I'm going to bend it down to follow, but then it's going to sit up slightly on its rubber mountings. But we're going to have the skirt on it, so I need it to follow that line, so that as I lift it up a little bit for the skirt and the rubber mountings, it'll still be following that. So that's going to go there like that. And I'll mark both sides, but I'll check that they're the same. I can't get in because of the camera. Hang on. I'll measure to make sure that we're level. We're not going to bend this at an angle. So I'm putting it just where the curve is there. Excuse my head a moment. And that does actually look different, so I've got to measure this to get it right. So let me do that and then we'll go over to the press. Now then, there's our mark. As you can see, it was different. We'll put it in here and put a little bit of a bend in it and go and try it. Got to get myself a new jack for this. I sort of got this one out of retirement. I knew it wasn't very good, but the one I'd put in its place started to leak oil. So I decided this was the better option. At least it wasn't so messy. So let's get that blade to go right down. On there. And we'll go and try it. Now I'll bend it here because it sits up a little at the front, but the rubber bumpers I'm going to get a 1/2 inch. So when they're on there, that will be just nicely like that. I measured that, that's a 1/2 inch, that's perfect. One thing, I maybe should have measured the frame instead of the seat. The frame is slightly wider at the front. Well, it's 1/2 inch wider at the front on either side. So we'll do it, we'll put the seat together. If I don't like it, we'll use this seat on something else and I'll make another one. But anyway, let's get the edge cut and welded on. Now this is the setup for me to weld it. I've got it clamped against a piece of angle so I can weld the first piece and then I can slowly turn the angle, clamping it to keep the edge nice and tight, and I'll just follow it round, doing some little tacks till it's all the way round. I've put it slightly past the bend here so I can cut it at an angle to keep my 1/2 inch going up and around there. So let me tack these first couple of bits and then I'll show you the angle moved round so I can follow the curve. So I've made a start. Started welding it there, and you can see it's tacked here, tacked there, tacked there. So I've got another piece to put in here, and I'll make a piece to go around the back. See, and then that is our little lip to put our clips on. But that is all I've got time for, unfortunately. Sorry and all that, this week, as I say, has been hectic. But it'll give me a chance to order. Let me open you out a little bit more. There we go. It'll give me a chance to order the little rubbers that are going to go here, about 4 of them, to sit on the frame, and we'll see how it comes out. Then we have to make a couple of little elbows here to go onto the rear suspension top mountings, and I've got to think of a little something at the front to hook under the frame, so it hooks under, drops on, and you tighten them up. Alright, so sorry it's such a short video. You wouldn't believe what's been going on this week. But, I'll tell you what, hang on. I'll show you what's been going on this week. This is what's been going on this week. It's got all the frames on, it's still got to put a gusset in there. The engine from hell, the bottom end is together. So, he's got to do that. Got the back mud guard stuff on. So now we've got this in, we can put a sprocket on and do the chain line and the chain tensioner and all that sort of stuff. Here's a tip for anybody that's building themselves a trials bike. These are Yamaha TY250 forks. They are completely shot, the fork stanchions, fork tubes. TY250 ones, I searched and searched and searched. But then there's a place here that sells Yamaha parts called Speed and Sport in Bloomsburg. Speed and Sport Inc. because there's another Speed and Sport. They're in Bloomsburg, PA, for those of you in the US or anywhere else. And they have a huge inventory of old Yamaha parts, NOS parts, but they also have all the parts books online showing their inventory and the price. So I went and looked, 74, 75 for the TY250. These are the same forks as they used in the DT models. Now, of course, there weren't many of these sold in the States, certainly, but there were a lot of DT 100s and 125s and 250s. So I went back to eBay, put in DT 250, and I found a really nice pair of forks with shipping for like $100. So what's that? 75 quid, something like that. So if you're stuck for parts for TY250 forks, DT ones, Yamaha DTs are the same. There might even be a couple of other off-road models, but certainly from 74 the part numbers were all the same, so we've got new forks coming. Alright, that's it. So as usual, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.